Good morning, it's Michael Gray with rnhealthcoaching.com. The following excerpt is going to be a part of my 4x4x48 David Goggins challenge. Basically, it's 4 miles every 4 hours times 48 hours. I started this on 4 p.m. on Good Friday and I ended on Easter Sunday 2020. If you can't do 4 miles, then you do 40 minutes or more of some type of exertional activity, whatever it is that you feel that you can tolerate for that amount of time every 4 hours. It's actually quite challenging. One of my other biggest influencers is Fridman, who is an MIT physicist and has the podcast AI podcast, which is artificial intelligence, and he took this challenge from David Goggins, as well as in between each of the iterations he did a gratitude journal. So basically that's what I did, is on between each 4-hour interval I did some sort of a distinct gratitude and made a video on it. So I have the full video, which is quite lengthy, and then I also have these excerpt videos between each one, which is what the following is. And thank you, have a good day, and mend yourself, move, educate, nourish, decompress, and enjoy this lockdown. Hey there again, it's Michael. I've got no idea where I'm at. I know I'm close to the end of this shenanigans. So we're going to talk now about life goals, determining life goals. What are my life goals, as an example? And then number 11, which is, that's number 10, and then number 11, which is regret minimization. So hopefully this video won't be as long as the other ones, because the goals are fairly simple. Number 1 is to live in the healthiest, most functional body, physically, emotionally, mentally, that I can for as long as I can. So in order to do that, it takes distinct action. It doesn't just happen on its own. If you think that you're just going to live your entire lifespan in a healthy body without taking action towards that goal, then that's arrogant or ignorant, and it's just not going to happen. Very, very unlikely. So that's number 1. So most of the decisions I make and the energy that I put when one foot's going in front of the other one is towards that goal. One thing that helps is having a distinctive awareness of how long that goal actually is. I have videos on all of these topics, as well as far as determining the human lifespan. Basically for me, I am 47. If you put your age and ethnicity and where you're at and all of that stuff into some human lifespan calculator that does actuary tables for insurance or whatever, you can pretty come close to what it is that if you did everything right and you had good genes and nothing catastrophic happened to you, that's probably where you should shoot for. So for me, that's 82 years old. I'm 48 years old now, and that puts me at 2055, which, as I mentioned in previous video, I have tattooed on my leg. And also I have a countdown app on the screen of my phone that says today something like 13,174 days remaining. So I try to see as many sunsets, as many sunrises as I can. Hopefully I've got 13,000 plus left. If not, then oh well, at least I've seen a ton. If I were to die today, it's not my preference, but I would be okay with it. I feel like I have accomplished most of the things that I set out to accomplish, and in a way I've overachieved a lot of these things. And in some other ways, like future financial stability, I have grossly underachieved. So I will take ownership for my gross imperfections in that area. And there's many reasons for that, but we won't go into them now. You're welcome. So that's number one in life goals. Number two is to decrease human suffering, which is I'm a nurse, so I feel that I'm accomplishing that on a daily basis. Next is to love, both to give love and to receive love, to accept it, to put myself in a position to deserve it and to desire it. And also, love can be towards my family, my friends, my patients' families, the random stranger on the bridge that I'm smiling at first to. So there are a bunch of different degrees of this word love, the silly word love, as Lex Fridman likes to call it. And so I'm trying to experience as many of those as I can and give some back as well. And let's see. Those are the three main ones. And then in a category all of its own of number 11, which is regret gratitude. And this comes through, and it's all part of the life goals as well, is you have to spend some time working on this. So what's the best way to spend time is to make lists. Make lists of things that are important to you, make lists of things that definitely are not important to you and that you won't tolerate, and then kind of start from there. And maybe kind of look around, see what it is that people have and how they're managing or mismanaging their lives, and kind of get some information from that and plan out your future, map it out. There is a book that I read, I don't know, it must have been in my early 20s, called Mind, M-I-N-D, Mapping. I think it's by Tony Bozen or something like that. And this kind of gave me a new way to look at things, as well as journaling. And in this process, instead of it being words, linear, that type of thing, what you've got is using every aspect of things that create memories and awareness in your mind. So examples of this is knowing the difference between your right brain and your left brain, and your left brain being more analytical, dealing with time, spatial awareness, analysis, linearity, sequencing, numbers, this type thing. And then your right brain dealing more with rhythm, gestalt, the completion of things, colors, and this type of thing. So with mind mapping, what you're doing, instead of writing down words in sentence form and paragraph form, you're actually just having concepts and using colors and lines and graphics, and you learn it's just an entire new creative process that kind of will lead to different results. So you could write linearly in words in paragraph form and maybe have like 20 pages worth of notes and journaling, but you can probably fit all of that in like one page if you use maps, if you use pictures, if you use colors, and these types of different concepts. So I would recommend, you could probably just Google mind map book, or maybe even YouTube, and find some information for it. It was very popular 10-20 years ago. It's what they have in maybe big boardrooms when there's 20 people there and they're trying to just throw out ideas. They may just put ideas randomly on the whiteboard and then draw lines and then connect the dots and consolidate this type of thing. And this is the beginning of the creative process for me and for a lot of people. So journaling in that manner may be something that you've never considered before, and that maybe you should try. And then regret minimization. So it's hard to thwart off situations where you might feel regret in the future if you do something, if you're not exactly sure what your goals are. So starting at, the starting point is to figure out those things, and then that will help you lead to minimal regrets. And I've been using this as one of my top 4 or 5 life goals for a long time. And then I was watching a video recently on the Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, and basically they were asking him about his business model, and he says his entire business model and his life model is based on regret minimization. So it's weird how I watch all of these biographies and videographies of all of these highly effective, highly productive, highly successful people, and I hear a lot of these themes of things that I've been doing for a long time, and I can see the correlation and attribute to some of the successes that I've had to some of these things. So I don't have very many regrets in my life, and I would like to say that I have 0, but that's not 100% accurate. I have a handful, and each one of those regrets, that if I could go back in time, that I would be willing to risk changing my direction, even though that it would very likely change the entire direction of the rest of my life, which means I wouldn't be making this video right now. I'd be willing to risk it and to just go into a different direction in life, because not how it affected me, even though there might have been some pain and some suffering involved in it, but because of the pain and the suffering that my decision at the time caused people that I loved and cared about around me. So an example of that is when I was like 14, I did something that got me into some legal trouble, and it got resolved, and it's 30 years later, 30 plus years later, and I still have regret, guilt, remorse about the fact that I made that poor decision, even though it was a learning decision, because not only did it affect me, it affected my parents' relationship with each other, which affected my brothers, which took resources away from emotional resources, time resources, financial resources from the family to deal with something that I did, and ultimately maybe have been a contributing factor in the fact that my parents got divorced. And they both deny that this is the case, but I'm a mathematical person, and it was a severe situation, and they got divorced briefly after. So I will probably always feel that. We'll never know, but if that's true, if the stress that this one decision had on the entire galaxy, the family around me, then not only did it affect me and my parents, it affected my brothers, which, because of the divorce, ultimately may have affected who they married and the type of marriage that they had and how they feel about their relationship because of us being children of divorced parents, and all of the pain and suffering and hardships that were around that. So it's like, like even their kids, my nieces and nephews, in some way were affected by that one decision that I made that day. So because of the global catastrophe, not that it's a catastrophe, everybody's fine. My mom is fine, my dad is fine, my brothers are fine, my nieces and nephews are fine, I'm fine. But still, if I could go back to that day, I would not do that. So that's just it, so there might be 1 or 2 of those instances in my life, but other than that, I try and have minimal regrets, and I do that by journaling and by heightened awareness and that whole observer rather than critic, actor, and all of the things that we've talked about previously. So have a great day, and I've got one more of these iterations left, which would be number 12. and I'm going to speak about nursing and what that means to me and what it's meant for my life up to this point of 18 years of nursing. All right, thanks.